Everyone, this is Nitya Ramachandra from the NR Hour Sports Show. Happy Tuesday. I hope everyone had a great 4th of July weekend and holiday, and I hope you guys had fun with the fireworks. But today we start off a new week with the NR Hour Sports Show. This is episode 1025. We are live on iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, on all the podcast platforms, and we are live with the special guest today. His name is Dwayne Wright. He's a former Fresno State NFL running back. He played for the Buffalo Bills, New York Giants, Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers, and he also got some action in the CFL League, which we'll get to throughout his career. And not only he's a great football player, but he's doing big things off the field. He's a coach. He does multiple things off the field. He's a singer too. So go check the Players Corner on Instagram. Man, they're doing a great job with the group of NFL players who get together after their careers, who started singing, and now they're on America's Got Talent, getting ready for the second round. Man, what a great team! That's another great team out there. So please tune in here, fans. You can ask questions to Dwayne Wright today on our Spreaker app. So Dwayne, thank you again for joining us today. How are you and your family doing today?
I am doing well. As you can see, my background, I'm at an office. I'm a head coach here in Fresno. And it never sleeps in our dead period, but I'm planning for the year. So I was glad to be on the show today.
Yeah, thank you for joining. And like I said, fans, please tune in. This can be a good one. Let's start off with why not? Before we get to your football career, I want to start off with the Players Corner because it's really important to talk about that. And obviously, I spoke on it with Brian McKinney and Jamon Brown. But for you, how did it start for you? How did you get into this? And how did it come about for you?
For me, it's I would say faith. I would say with a little bit of luck, but at the same time, I know the choir's been around for over 15 years. Mm-hmm. When I was playing in the NFL, I remember they performed at the Super Bowl, the Super Bowl parties. And then also they did some other appearances, and I was like, wow, these guys can sang. But for me, I believe I sing praise and worship at church. So I've always sung in the church, and I've always had some type of vocal, background behind me. But Melanie Few gave me a call. I guess my name popped up somewhere, and I know it's nothing but the Lord. It popped up, and I got that phone call, and the next thing you know, I was on a plane out to LA ready to perform, and here we are now.
Yeah, the one thing that shocked me when Brian Scott told the judges that Patti LaBelle was the one who helped you guys out too. What was that like when Patti LaBelle saw your talent and said, "Wow, we got something here"?
Well, at the time, I was still back then. Yeah. I believe I was still playing CFL. I retired from the NFL, but from what the guys told me, we're very close knit now. It's like we're brothers. That once Patti LaBelle was walking around and said, "Hey, you guys are looking good, but who can sing?" So, players started to sing, and there you go. The rest is history. And now, we are where we're at today. We have some awesome singers. I believe everybody in our choir can sing. Very, very truthful to ministering, the word of our voice and getting it out there to everybody so we can share the goodness.
So before we get into your football career, tell the fans what's it like working with the judges with Howie Mandel, Heidi Klum, Sophia Simon, and then also Terry Crews.
You know what? Until you get on the stage, it's almost like we've performed in front of people our whole lives, especially when we're in high school, we're in college, and then when we get to the NFL, thousands and thousands of people. But it's different when you have 12 million people, 12 million viewers, and then you have 4 judges, and then you have Simon. Yeah. And, we all looked at Simon in the eye, and we just performed and made sure that he knows we're serious about our craft. Like, we are serious about this singing. Most of us grew up in the church. Yeah. A lot of us, can play instruments, but there's nothing like coming together and just giving it our all for a better purpose. And that's what it's about.
And I think Simon did a good thing for you guys by taking out the track and singing without the music. I think that made a big difference in my opinion when Simon took the.
Yeah. So Normally, you do get singers, they sing over tracks, and singing my whole life, when you sing over a track, it's sort of like a safety net. But I'm glad that Simon seen the vocals within us. So I think he wanted to ensure with the other judges, like, okay, these guys can really sing. Like, turn it off, they go a cappella, and let's hear them blow. And you can hear every voice within the song. You can hear from the tenor section, from the lows, from the highs, from the altos to the sopranos. I mean, we work hard, like literally, like my toes and my ankles be hurting,
Wow.
when we get done practicing. But we work hard, and we're trying to get to win $1 million so we can, give it away to charity and do what we're supposed to do with it.
Yeah.
So I look forward to it.
Yeah, so now let's get into your football career. Obviously, you're from San Diego, California. You were born there. You went to high school there. So when did you get interested in the game of football, especially? And who were some of the players that you looked up to when you were younger?
That is a great question. I grew up, my first year playing football was 1988 or something like that. Crazy. I was 5 years old, 5.5 years old, and I was a running back, and I couldn't barely get in the stands. I couldn't barely do anything. But my uncles around me and my stepfather raised me. They were all football players. My uncle Eddie Ford played at Morse High School in San Diego, was a stellar athlete, ended up, playing at Colorado Buffaloes, and then having a small, short stint in the NFL playing running back for the Chargers and different things of that nature, USFL. And then also my other uncle, Alonzo Washington, played stellar athlete at University of Arizona, played fullback, had a stint in the NFL as well, with the Falcons. So as you look at, my history of how I started, it was kind of like I was born into it.
Right.
Grandfather played as well. My grandfather, back in, the early 40s, he played football, and it was something that I think even my sons to this day just like born into it. So yeah, that's how I started playing the game of football.
Wow. Yeah, obviously you were running back throughout your career, but did you get to play any other positions in high school and learning different from the offensive side, defensive side, or were you mainly focused on running back?
Well, I was actually a quarterback. So
wow.
Pop Warner, I played quarterback. I played a couple years of running back. And then when I got to high school, my 9th, 10th grade year and a little bit of my 11th year, I was a quarterback. So I passed the ball and I was highly recruited. But obviously recruiters is like, this kid can run the ball. So then my junior year, I was switched over to running back. But I can say, I can't tackle because I never played defense in my life. So, but I do understand the defense from a perspective as, being a quarterback and a running back. And it was just a lot of fun. I just love being a team player. And, if you were to ask me, hey, D. Wright, line up as an O lineman, I would have done it because I just love the game of football. Our D lineman, our linebacker.
We are live with former Fresno State NFL running back, CFL running back, Dwayne Wright. Now he's a coach for Fresno. We already have a fan question for you. One of our fans want to know how important is music to an athlete throughout their career. But what would you say about music helping throughout a player's career?
You know what? Music is the pinnacle to greatness. And that's for anybody, not just athletes. But I say for myself, I grew up listening to Earth, Wind, and Fire. And I grew up listening to a lot of praise and worship, like Bishop John P. Key and Kirk Franklin and all these different other artists. And it helped me when it came to my mindset, especially when it came to a hard game or a practice. It just gave me a sense of security. And also when you be around music so much in your life and you start to listen to it, you start to become that. And I'm a true believer in that, but music relaxes me. Music actually helps me mentally going through, the concussions and different things throughout my career. Like music and singing helps me relax. And without that, I'll have a rough time, but I have to sing for me to be sane and relaxed. And
yeah. So last week when we had Jamon Brown, he said he played quarterback too when he was younger before he switched to offense. But let me ask you this. So we asked him about his scouting report as a quarterback. So what was your scouting report as a quarterback?
My scouting report as a quarterback is the kid is going to say said hut, and 1 second he's going to take off. I rarely threw the ball, but I threw a lot of interceptions, if that makes sense,
Mhm.
because I was a running quarterback. But I scored a lot of touchdowns because we were an old school wishbone set. So
Wow.
we had the fullback and the two running backs, and we ran the option. So those days were fun. But I mean, I can't even imagine my dog playing quarterback being as big as he was now. That's a good sign, but man, that's But my scouting report, I probably a B
Hmm.
plus at quarterback, but running I probably have an A, so that'll equal out to a good solid B plus.
Yeah, so here's an interesting question from one of our other fans. They want to know, how do you balance your schedule out being a coach and getting these kids ready while at the same time getting ready for a second round of a big competition?
You know what? That's a good question. I have a lot of schedules. And I know there's people around me who help me, especially my wife at home and my mom, and my kids. Again, it's about the mental
Yeah.
aspect of it. I have to make sure I have alarms all the way around. So I'm not alone. So balancing it is not hard because I have a support team, and I have a support team full of coaches that allow me, and they understand. And even my principal here at here at the school, and also my AD understands what is at stake.
Mhm.
So they know I've worked hard in the spring. Scheduling is not hard. It's just making sure these kids' grades are right.
Hmm.
And that's the hardest thing. When I'm away for a couple of days, just making sure they stay on track if they don't see D right on campus. But again, my staff is awesome,
Hmm.
and my support team is awesome. So I applaud them for that.
Yeah, so tell our fans, what were the main things that you learned in high school as a player from your coaches or your assistant coaches, and what did you learn from high school going before going to Fresno State?
Communication.
Mhm.
I guess the piece of communication, whether it's verbally, whether it's your body posture, whatever it is, you must communicate effectively, whether it's negative or positive, because that teaches us to be, a man or a woman once we leave the household. I think with me, I was a great communicator with all my coaches, and I let them know if I didn't understand something, and that what helps me as a coach, and even as a teacher now, I'm able to sit down with a student athlete or just a regular student and listen.
Hmm.
And I think that's important, with especially nowadays, a lot of student athletes have already figured they've made it. So you have to sit down and listen and give them your perspectives, and also figure out, okay, this is a new day and age. How can I relate what I've been through, what they're going through? And I think that's where the communication piece from where I grew up and before I went to Fresno State is important.
Yeah. So speaking of Fresno State, how did that come about? What were the key factors for you that made you choose Fresno State? And did any your hometown schools offer you a scholarship?
Well, out of high school, I was a blue chip All American. I was one of
Yeah.
the top running backs in the nation out of Lincoln High School, San Diego. Marcus Allen, Terrell Davis, Achilles Smith. We all come from that high school, Southeast San Diego. But before I went to the high school, I was at Morse High School.
Mhm.
So I was a true freshman playing varsity. Something happened to where I had to transfer to Lincoln, and I got to Lincoln, and I had scholarship offers from Notre Dame. I mean, Alabama, Tennessee, you name it. And I ended up committing to Washington State,
Mhm.
and I ended up being very successful in high school. And after that, our coach got fired
Mhm.
from Washington State. So I had to decide, okay, should I continue at Washington State or should I go to a community college? So I didn't pass my SAT.
Mhm.
I passed my ACT. So what happened was I had to go through the ringers. I was a JC prospect. I ended up going to West Coast College in Coalinga under my head coach, Mark Gritton. He is like another father to me, still is.
Mhm.
And he took me under his wing, prepared me for the next level. And I ended up wanting to go back to Washington State. But then, Coach Price and his staff was at Alabama at the time. Um, I had one kid, I had a daughter at the time, and I said, you know what, that's far. I don't know if I want to take my family that far. Let me kind of figure out where I wanted to end up in recruiting. Next thing you know, Pat Hill calls me, Fresno State. Hey man, Dwayne, you turned us down in high school, but there's an opportunity for you to come and earn. And that's the key word, earn.
Yeah.
Earn your starting position. And when I heard earn, and me and my family heard that, that's when I knew it was the right fit, because he gave me an opportunity, him and his staff, Coach Pat Hill gave me an opportunity to earn my starting position. And after that, it was no looking back. You know, I broke records at Fresno State, still a leading rusher, single game, 295 yards in one game, one touchdown, you know, still in the top 5 of all-time rushing. I mean, I've only played 2 years of D1 football, 1 year JC, 2 years. So me doing all of that in just basically a year and a half, you know, I always say, imagine if I was there for all 4 years. And that's what comes with the communication piece. So that's how I ended up at Fresno State.
Yeah, so tell our fans about one of the awards you won. You won Central Valley SB College Male Athlete of the Year. Take us through that, and what does that mean to you?
Yeah, so I won 3 SB awards in Central Valley, California with ESPN. I'm very humble. You know, one thing about me, I go through life and I earn and I work hard for everything. So yeah, that was surprising because I do a lot of philanthropy work, even when I was in college. So I guess that just came at a time where people knew who was the best, you know, male athlete was. You know, coming out of Fresno State, it was hard. My draft year was me, Marshawn Lynch, Adrian Peterson, Michael Bush. Wow. So if you look at those 4 big time running backs, I mean, I had to earn my stripes, you know, and it was well deserving. I don't even remember who I was up against. I mean, it really don't matter, but you know, just to say I won an SB from ESPN, that's huge. You know, 3 of them. So that's huge.
Yeah. So we have another fan question for you. They want to know what are your thoughts on Fresno State now? And obviously a lot of history from there. And Davante Adams went there. Derek Carr went there too. So what do you like about Fresno State?
I would say Fresno State a lot. You know, it's the valley, it's the V, it's what the valley represents, it's what the Bulldog represents. It's more than just a, you know, a football program. You know, it's all about coming together, and we always say paint the valley red. That means going out into the communities, making sure that everyone understands how important, you know, the college is, because if you look around Fresno, the university supplies all the, you know, as far as the jobs, people graduate, people come back to Fresno, and it gives the Central Valley sort of its pride. You know, Pat Hill, you know, is a big supporter on, you know, how we started to blow up there. You know, we raised so much money to build those facilities when I was there. And also, you know, with Davante Adams, you know, Derek Carr, David Carr, Bernard Barron, which is on my coaching staff. You know, these big time guys that is around, you know, came from my background. They came from small towns. They came from, you know, people saying you won't be able to make it. You won't have an opportunity. They come to Fresno State, be developed into this big time football player. Now they make it. Now they give back to the community, and, you know, making sure that the Valley is proud of us. You know, one thing about Fresno State, we've always played the big programs, no matter what, you know, and it's because we all deserve to play those programs. We decided not to go, but we always wanted to make sure that we made California proud, especially Central Valley. But I can't wait to see the shakeup. I've seen there's been a shakeup with the Pac-12, and hopefully in Fresno State get an opportunity to be in the Pac-12.
Yeah, because 2024 UCLA and USC, I think they're moving to the Big Ten. So I think that should be huge when that thing officially happens. And Fresno State is a great program now. And what would you tell our fans some of your best moments there? Obviously, you told us about the leading rusher, but tell us about some of your other best moments and playing in front of those fans.
There's a lot of great moments. You know what? My best moments is probably not in the stadium. It's probably, you know, during training camp where, you know, we're tired, and I can hear Pat Hill saying, hey, it's 103 degrees, 105 degrees, you know, let's work hard and keep going. It's going to pay off one day. Yeah. Well, you're going to have a great story. You know, these type of things last with you for the rest of your life. And then the easy thing is the games. So what fans probably don't really see is you're supposed to practice harder, right? So you practice harder, and when the games come, it's supposed to be easier. You know, so when people come in that bowl in the Bulldog Stadium and they see all of these fans, the red wave started to get loud, and, you know, you start to see timeout run out, and you start to see us run out the tunnel. There's a lot of teams, even the Oregon States that came into Bulldog Stadium walking out hurting. Hope that heal, because we're hard-nosed, we're aggressive, we're fundamental. That's something about Fresno State you can't take away.
Yeah, so and then obviously you got after your Fresno State career, you got invited to the combine, and what would take us to that? What was that like getting invited to the combine? And the Falcons were interested in you, Buffalo Bills, Steelers, and Eagles all looked at you in the combine. Take us to that.
The combine was interesting because I didn't really have to do all of the events. They wanted me just to run a 40. I mean, I was a power back. I came back from an injury in 2004, blew out my patella tendon, fully ruptured it, maintained it, rehabbed it, came back in a year. Trainer said, you know what, Dwayne, it's not good enough. I said, all right, I'm going to get bulkier. I'm going to get it stronger. Came back from that year. That's when I broke all the records in 2006. And I kind of knew what the combine entitled for Dwayne Wright. It was more, let's check his knee. Let's make sure his body is intact. Let's have him run a 40. So I completed all that. I believe I ran a 4.6, at the combine, which is pretty good.
Right.
I'm 240 pounds, to run that. And I kind of proved everybody right and wrong at the same time. So after that happened, I went to go train in Hollywood and LA. And I did a really good job of trying to get myself, faster, but I didn't do a good job of preparing myself to be a fullback in the NFL, because that's what they really wanted me to be, a fullback. And that's what people was drafting me for. I didn't understand it so young. But it was just a great experience at the combine. When you wake up in the morning, knowing you got invited to something that you grew up your whole life looking forward to be in, it just made me feel good.
Were you surprised that they wanted you to move position to fullback, or how surprised were you? But obviously we're mainly focused as running back. But were you surprised at first?
I was surprised because I am a power back, but I was naive. When we talked about communication and being naive to who you are and whose you are, at the time, I'm 235 pounds plus, I'm 6'1". There's not too many running backs that are my size. And I wanted to fulfill my dreams of playing tailback. So that's one reason I think in the NFL, where it was kind of like not a red flag, but sort of like, okay, this kid knows that he can last for 20 years, 15 years, we play fullback. And I really didn't, so I look at myself at that point as that's probably was my mistake, not really taking it all in. But at the same time, I had to fight to who I was believing myself to be as well. But, again, I was happy to be there. It just, my whole life, I knew I was going to make it to the NFL. When you grew up being the best as you can be and striving to be the best, you kind of know where, God is going to take you and where your life is going to go. It's just if you're going to take those right roads. So those are one of the roads I didn't take. I should have went straight, been a fullback, but I wanted to veer off and continue to be a power back. But, I'm thankful for those opportunities. So now I can teach younger athletes and I can teach, others to just do better.
Yeah. So we have another fan question. One of our fans want to know, they want to know, take us to the meeting rooms during the combine when you have to meet the teams face to face in a meeting room, and what was that like? Take us to that moment.
It was like when you sit down in a black room and there's a light shining on you. I don't even know how to explain it even better, because that's what it felt like. You cannot prepare for questions that they're going to ask you. Your agent can't give you questions they're going to ask you, because most of the time they're going to ask you off the field questions. A lot of organizations that really want you, they're going to ask questions, how are you off the field? Because they already have those answers. Literally, they just want to know how you react and how honest, you're going to be, because you won't get invited to the combine if they didn't know you were some type of athlete, right? So you just have to make sure mentally you're prepared to answer the questions as honest and openly as you can. And that way it can really sell you, because you're selling yourself to these programs, these organizations.
Yeah, so take us to your draft experience. You had an interesting draft experience. Obviously, you got drafted in 07, round 4, pick 1-1 to the Buffalo Bills, and you were in the same draft class as Marshawn Lynch. And Marshawn Lynch got drafted by the Buffalo Bills round 1. pick 12. So take us to that moment once he got drafted and waiting 3 more rounds. And were you surprised the Buffalo Bills called you while they already drafted a running back in the first round?
Yes, I can honestly say yes. And what you have again, Marshawn Lynch, Dwayne Wright, Adrian Peterson, and Michael Bush. We're the top running backs in the draft. You select Marshawn Lynch, which was my boy, and you select Dwayne Wright, which is two of the top California backs. I was like, what is going on? Like, and that's when I knew that they really wanted me to play fullback. I kind of had it in my mind, but I didn't accept that. But I was ecstatic. I could not wait to get to Buffalo. I could not wait to get to, my dog, Marshawn Lynch. And matter of fact, Ralph Wilson drafted me. And that was the thing. So Ralph Wilson loved everything about me. Rest in peace. I mean, he just loved me, like everything that I did at Buffalo. He was just a part of it. So when I got to Buffalo, he pulled me in the office and told me, hey, son, like it wasn't the GMs. It wasn't, I went over everyone's head and drafted you. I just like everything about you. So, big shout out to the Wilson family. And again, that's the reason why I ended up in Buffalo.
Wow. Yeah. So speaking of Buffalo, a great organization, and obviously now now they have a talented team now, a Super Bowl contender in my opinion. But when you were there, what was the experience like being with part of Bills Mafia? Those fans bring it every night to the stadium, and you got to play with obviously Marshawn Lynch, Trent Edwards, Lee Evans, Josh Reed, Michael Gaines, obviously Robert Royal, Jason Peters, Derek Darkery. I can go down the list, but what was that like playing with those players, and especially learning from a player like Marshawn Lynch?
One thing that people can't take away is the draft class. Like being a part of a Buffalo Bills draft class, that goes down in history. Especially coming into all those men that you just named. Most of those men took me in and they mentored to me. They talked to me about finances, making D right, don't make no dumb mistakes, all these different things. And I commend all of them.
Yeah.
Coming in with me and Marshawn, we were roommates when we first got there. We were roommates all the way through mini camp, rookie camp, like training camp until we, purchased our own home. So we got a chance to become really close, me and his families. We ended up buying, what is it called during the season? The suite. So my family and his family would just have a good old time and enjoy us, and that's one thing that I take away. Trent Edwards, really good guy. I kind of miss him because he was really humble, but at the same time, he'll crack jokes and just make sure you're focused. And Derek Schumann, we played against each other at Boise when I was at Fresno State. So you can see the rivalry we had there, but it became such a brotherhood. The brotherhood became really strong with our draft class, and Paul Plusnetsky, another linebacker, that we went at it, as well. But it was just a great time. It was just a great time, being a part of that draft class. And again, the coaches were hard on our draft class for some reason. I don't know why, but they was just on us. We couldn't do nothing. Wow. They made sure we wake up, go to sleep, show up at our house if they could. Like it was just like nonstop. But yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah. So we have another fan question for you. One of our fans want to know, they want to know, did you get to play on the did you and Marshawn Lynch play at the same time throughout your career?
Yes, me and Marshawn played. I graduated high school in 2001, and I'm a little bit older than everybody. And when I came into college, all of the guys who came in with me already graduated. You know what I mean? So when Marshawn came in, I was already 2 years, 3 years ahead of him. So when we got drafted, he was like, I'm 23. I'm like, man, I'm like, I'm like 26 years old, 27 years old, and that's the reason I believe he picked 23 is because I believe that was his age. I don't remember, but I think so. But when me and Marshawn came in, he did look up to me for a lot of, guidance when we were together, like on family type stuff, because we're both from California. He's from Oakland. I'm from Southeast San Diego. It's the same thing, right? But the thing is, coming from Oakland, you have a whole different mindset, you know what I mean? And there was a lot of things I wanted to learn from him. He went to Cal, and Cal is a very very, very, very good university, especially when it came to academics. I just had questions for him. So we became brothers, but it was fun. Rashawn cracked a lot of jokes. I cracked a lot of jokes. And, and I seen when he first started the Skittles.
Yeah.
I was there, and that was the thing. Like, I was like, man, y'all have no idea about Marshawn. Marshawn is very smart.
Mm-hmm.
And when you talk to this gentleman and his business mindset is all about his family. It's not about Marshawn Lynch. And that's one thing that I take away from him is his family. Like, he take care of them, and that's huge.
Yeah. So speaking of Marshawn Lynch, was he the same? Once he got into the league, did he start right away not doing? What was he like? Was he the same person like now, not doing interviews?
Yes, he was the exact same person. Let me tell you, when I seen Marshawn on his Subway commercial, I said, that is Marshawn that I know. I'm like, that is the Marshawn that I know. Like, literally seeing him cracking jokes, that's just what he does, So that's him. Fans, that's Marshawn. Like, I can't even get even. That's who he is.
Yeah. So tell our fans, what was Bill's Mafia like?
Bill's Mafia. I will say they know everything about you. They know your background. They probably know your address. They know where your mama grew up. That's how dedicated the fans are. And I love Bill's Mafia. They support you 100%. And the reason why Buffalo is who they are is because of that blue collar city, that blue collar town. They support everything about, the organization, and which is huge. And that's why I believe a lot of players don't want to leave Buffalo, even though it's not a huge city.
Oh, yeah.
It's the Bills Mafia, and it's just a support system that's around there.
Yeah. So speaking of Michael Gaines, your teammate, you guys are still teammates with the Players Corps. So what did you guys say? What was it like being still being together after your career, singing, and also obviously as teammates as a player?
Michael Gaines was very humble, and he was outspoken when it came to the younger players understanding their role. And he's still the same to this day. He took me and Marshawn, he took us in, really talked sense into us when we were just young. And he was very influential with a lot of decisions that I made, as a rookie. And now he's still influential at what we're doing as, the Players Choir. He is probably the longest standing member. He's very opinionated when it comes to, which songs we should sing and how we should do it, which he's a leader. That's what leaders do. So I appreciate him. And Michael Gaines will be Michael Gaines as well, too.
Yeah, so after your Buffalo Bills career, you moved on to a different team, which was the Giants in 09, Eagles in 10, and then the Steelers in 11. But take us to that throughout your career when you had to move from team to team. And also, we had Brandon Jacobs on our show 2 years ago, and you play with Brandon Jacobs in the Giants. He's awesome. And also you got to play with other great running backs like LaShawn McCoy, Rashawn Mendenhall. So tell us about that time frame of your career.
Yeah, coming in with the Giants, I was a fullback. So they utilized me as like a pass catching fullback. And being a power back is a lot different than hitting Urlacher, everything down, right? So that's one thing that I did work on, and I became good at it. I became a really good fullback there at the Giants. And, being in that running back room with those guys, Ahmad Bradshaw, about Brandon Jacobs. These are guys that I looked up to. Me and Ahmad Bradshaw, we came through the draft together. So I knew him before I even got to the Giants, even the year before. We played against the Giants when they needed a win to get to the playoffs. The year they won the Super Bowl, they needed to beat Buffalo, and they beat us at Buffalo, Ralph Wilson Stadium. And I can remember Ahmad Bradshaw catching that screen pass and going, I believe, 70, 80 yards. And we always joked about that, So these are guys that I really, admire to this day because, they're good guys. They're very humble guys. And we had a lot of fun outside the locker room, being in New York City, living in Jersey. I can say I was a New Yorker, and I had a really good time out there.
Yeah, I'm from Jersey too, and I'm like 55, I think 55 minutes away from MetLife Stadium. And but speaking of Jacobs, we had like I said, we had Brandon Jacobs on our show 2 years ago, and it was an honor to talk to him. A great person, and obviously big back. So what do you say? What do you say? Would you say you obviously you looked up to him, but would you say your game was similar to him, like size wise, like big, having
Well,
being a big back?
well, me and Brandon is around the same age.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's hard for me to say I look up to someone, the same age as me, but I know we came through almost the same tutelage around the same era. But one running back that I did look up to was Gale Sayers and Barry Sanders and, Sweetness, right? Walter Payton. These are the guys that I modeled, and Marcus Allen. He came from my high school. So, one reason I wore 32 was, I hate to say this now, but O.J. Simpson was the biggest reason.
Yeah.
All my family, the running backs in my family, wore 32. So it was a family tradition to wear that number. And it was a tradition to kind of mold ourselves, after the greats. So that's one reason I think that I love those running backs so much. And I took a part of me out of each one of them. So I really don't have a favorite. If it was a favorite, it'll be Walter Payton. Marcus Allen is my second because he's from the Hive, and I kind of patterned my running style after him when I was in college and high school.
Wow. Yeah. So we have another fan question for you. They want to know, what was it like playing in the NFC East with the Eagles, Giants, and also facing the Dallas Cowboys? America's team, baby. Let's go. And then and also against the Washington Commanders.
Well, I will say this: it was a big, fast league, especially the conference. If you think about, the AFC, it's a lot of speed and a lot of size. So that's what I get from it. Normally, it's no different than college. The only difference is, again, you get a lot more smash mouth football rather than the rollouts and the prettiness of the West Coast, right? So that's what we get from the NFC and the AFC is that's the difference. But I will say this: playing against the Cowboys is always fun. And I will always remember the Cowboys because my rookie season, I caught a pass, caught it out, and the ball popped straight up in the air. And I fumbled, so the Cowboys will always be on my bucket list. I hate to say it, but yeah. But again, that's how I look at the AFC. Yeah.
So now, take us. What was it like? So tell us about the coaching you played underneath throughout your NFL career. Obviously, you played underneath Dick Drawn, obviously Tom Coughlin, Andy Reid, and Mike Tomlin. So what is that like learning from all those coaches? All of them are heck of a coach, great coach, in my opinion.
You know what it's like? It's like now that I'm a head football coach, I've took every single part of them and applied it to, who I am as a football coach. And Coughlin time, if you think about, when I was in the New York Giants, we had to make sure that we were 10 minutes before each meeting.
Yeah.
And that's something I utilize for my high school football players. Mike Tomlin, I always say, be real, be yourself, but don't forget the perspective, right? Where we come from. Seeing him playing dominoes, slapping bones on the table, when we're in training camp, showing us his 300, all the different cards. Like, that is important, that you don't become a robot head coach when you have players that are coming from different backgrounds. Dick Duran was a player's coach. Dick Duran will pull you in the office, talk to you, ask you about life, ask if he can help you out. It's different aspects that I've took. Andy Reid is straight football savvy. Like he will teach you and manipulate you to do all the right things without even having to try.
Wow.
So I learned a lot from these coaches, and I can't even, just fathom how well put together all of them were. Obviously they're head coaches, but it will last you a lifetime.
Yeah. So throughout your career, you got to play with great quarterbacks like Trent Edwards, Eli Manning, Michael Vick, Ben Roethlisberger, Big Ben, who just retired. And obviously, I want to talk about the Steelers team because it was star-studded. Your defense was loaded. Troy Polamalu, Ike Taylor, James Farley, Lamar Woodley, Casey Hampton, Brett Kessler. I can go down the list. And also on your offensive side, you got to play with Mike Wallace, Hines Ward, Max Starks, Heath Miller. Man, so what was that like, your Steelers career, and obviously playing with Big Ben?
It was awesome playing. And then I was a tailback. So then I felt at home. Because Mike Tomlin said, I remember in the draft, we was going to draft you as a tailback. So they gave me my first opportunity in those 4 years to play tailback. And, you know, even Antonio Brown, I've seen Antonio when he was just a small little rookie in the outside locker rooms. You know, like those are the times that I remember. Skinny Antonio, you know, all of these different players that came through the Pittsburgh organization. And when you say hard, tough-nosed football, that's how they practice.
Yeah.
When I was with the Pittsburgh Steelers, we practiced hard. We weightlifted, we ran condition, you know, we everything we did was hard.
Wow.
And it just made a lot of sense when you think of the steel curtain back in the, you know, 70s, right? You think about the steel curtain and how they stayed tight and how they stayed close-knit. Those are the type of things that became, you know, apparent of winning those Super Bowls. Yeah, I played with some great players.
Yeah.
Ben Roethlisberger, man, look, Big Ben, man, he was that dude when I was there. Big Ben, he was real humble to a lot of us young players. You know what I mean? He didn't have a big aura about himself. What I remember about him is he always shook your hand. Hey, what's up, D. Ryder? Something simple, you know, real simple like that, and he would keep it pushing. You know, playing with Mike Wallace, he always cracked jokes here and there, you know, and he was really good. And Hines Ward, I remember watching him growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I watched him growing up, you know what I mean? And now my dad was a big Steelers fan, and now I'm with Pittsburgh Steelers.
Wow.
You know, it just made sense to me. It was like, Dwayne, keep working, and maybe you'll land a retirement career with, you know, retirement deal with them or something. But I want to thank Mike Tomlin as well. He was really influential in my decision making, and Pittsburgh was a good place as well.
How ironic is it, the 3 teams that were interested in you in the combine you got to play with throughout your career?
It was interesting. I was wondering why none of them drafted me. But,
no, Buffalo was
well, Buffalo was number 1, but you know, I was thinking Atlanta to be completely 100. Atlanta was the team that I spoke to the most. Even when I was ending my training at the combine, I've always spoken with Atlanta. They were always around. They were always contacting. You know, when it got to the combine, I met with them twice, not once, twice. Draft came up. I got a phone call from Atlanta. Hey, you know, we're thinking about pulling that trigger on you. And I look at my phone and it's Buffalo, which is cool, which is fine because I love Buffalo and I love the organization. But I honestly thought I was going to be an Atlanta Falcon. But again, I appreciate all those organizations at the time for just having interest in me and allowing me to showcase what I had. So
we have a couple more fan questions here. One of our fans want to know, what was your hype music before playing a big game? And our other fan wants to know, did you have a nickname throughout your career?
Yes, I'll start off with the hype music, Earth, Wind, and Fire. Hey, look, a lot of players have different things. You have those players who listen to rock, those players listen to reggae, those players listen to hyphy music, you know, rap, whatever it is. I was mellow. Like Earth, Wind, and Fire mellowed me out so much to where I just wanted to just get out there and just go smash somebody, you know, and that was my hype music all the way from high school. But my nickname is Slice, Slice Bread. And I got that name at West Hills College. So till this day, you can ask anybody to play college with me. They say Slice Records, Slice Bread, whatever it is, D Wright Slice, D Slice. And one day, how I got the nickname is I was in junior college, and we were like joking around and dabbing at each other. And one dude was like, "Man, I'm better than you, D Wright." And I was like, "Man, nah, bro, I'm the best thing since sliced bread." And then after that, everybody called me Slice all the way through. So that's my nickname, Sliced Bread.
Wow. Yeah. So now transitioning from your NFL career, you went to the CFL. What was that like? Tell our fans, what was the adjustment period like for you there and the CFL experience?
It was different. The CFL experience was different because you're coming in as a American practice squad player. There's no such thing unless you're a quarterback or if you get drafted from Canadian football. Everybody comes in as a practice squad player. So you come in for 2 days, you know, you play practice squad for 2 days, and then you're on the official roster. And, you know, I made that roster so easy. because I just wanted to work hard, and ended up contributing my first year in the playoffs. We ended up going to the semifinals before the Grey Cup at Toronto Argonauts. And I was tremendous throughout the whole ordeal. The next year, got all the way through, and I retired. I just, said, I'm done with football. And it was that time. It was that time to say, it's time for me to start coaching or teaching or doing something that will help my family. So that's how that ended up.
This is here's an interesting question from one of our fans. Actually, this is one of our popular questions that usually comes up during our shows when we have guests on. They want to know, if you weren't playing football or coaching, what would you be doing now?
I'll be doing the exact same thing I'm doing with playing football, ministering the gospel, also just making sure that I sing and minister while I'm singing. But I love to do music. I love producing music, and I think I would literally be an artist or a producer. So just like Kanye West went through his whole ordeal, you would have seen Sliced Bread following that, right?
Let's go.
I'm a big Kanye fan, so
you gotta one up Le'Veon Bell, man.
I know, right? I know. So, I made a lot of beats and stuff and produced a lot of music throughout. But that's probably what I'll be doing. I'll be doing the same thing. It's teaching. Wow. So I'm a PE teacher in Fresno as well. So I love just ministering and also teaching and giving our young generation something good to look forward to.
Man, you guys, actually last week when we had Brian McKinney and Jamon Brown on our show last week, man, we learned a lot from those two, and I'm learning a lot from you. And man, you guys are really inspiring, and man, your story is amazing. And obviously, with the Players Corps, it's really, truly, truly a blessing to have you guys on our show, because that's how the first time I found you guys was on YouTube. I looked up. I always like to look up these videos on AGT, the performances, and I looked up. I scrolled down. I saw it said NFL players, so I looked at it. Man, I was like, man, we gotta start reaching out to these people, and and my team reached out to you guys, and we had two. We had Brian McKinney, obviously Jamon Brown, and now you. But for you, what's it like being a head coach now for a football team in Fresno, and helping these young kids to grow and to get to where they want to be? So what's that been like for you?
It's been excellent. This is actually my 12th year of coaching, believe it or not. So I've been coaching for 12 years. I've coached college football on the community college level. First job was West Hills Community College. I coached there, won a championship there, ended up coaching at Fresno City Community College, and coached there for almost about 3.5 years. And then from there, I decided to come back to the high school level and coached at the high school level for going on 5 years now.
Wow.
So now, being a head coach is a lot of opportunities, but there's also a lot of responsibilities. I love coaching on a lower level, is because these kids and young men and young women have something to look forward to. Mm-hmm. They're working hard to get to where I just retired from, right? They're working hard to provide for their families. They're working hard to just be a name for themselves. Mm-hmm. And, I'm not at a rich high school. I'm not at a school to where all of the student athletes have, silver spoons in their mouth. I'm right where I came from, right in the smack middle of Fresno, from, population where poverty is really high, so they're seeing a light, right? They're seeing a pinnacle for me. They're seeing positivity, and, my principal and my AD and my coaching staff, they're allowing me to show that. And, if I can throw some kudos in. So I came in, our grade point average was a 1.9 GPA. Oh. And now we're at a 2.98 GPA. And that's in 6 months. So I'm just giving all of the tools that I had, in college, just letting these student athletes know, like, football is going to end. And when it ends, you have to have a plan B. You have to plan C and plan, D. So if it gets to a plan D, then you need to recreate a plan E. And opportunities will always come. And that's how I look at the Players Choir. This is an opportunity for me, again, to relive, the NFL years, and also not just doing that, I'm giving inspiration to people all around me. And they're looking at me like, wow, if Coach Wright can do it, or if D Wright can do it, if Slice can go back and do it, then, that's positive. So, and that's what it's about. It's about just making sure that we relive what people gave us.
Yeah. So let me ask you this: if the right opportunity comes for you, would you consider coaching in college or NFL?
Yeah, so right now I am in the midst of a very long contract,
Yeah.
here at Roosevelt High School. But if the opportunity came later on down the line after I develop my program more, I would definitely look into it. But right now I'm concentrating on Roosevelt High School, and I'm concentrating on help developing this community.
Hmm.
All right, because it's larger than just
Yeah.
football.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm teaching here, I'm coaching here, my family is here, and I love it.
So we have another fan question here. They want to know what are you guys doing as a group for the players quarter to get ready for the second round?
We're just practicing, working hard, making sure our vocals are right, drinking a lot of tea, lemon, and honey. And, we have some good stuff coming up, so you guys will see us on social media more. Just follow us at the Players Choir on Twitter. Also follow us on Facebook. All of the major components on social media. You can also follow me, Coach D Wright, or Coach Dwayne Wright, Coach DW, the RB Guru. You can catch everything you need to know from there. But we need votes coming up, so
Let's
we're
go.
gonna be live. We're gonna need votes, so we're gonna hopefully don't blow up too big. You know what I'm saying? So make sure when your show blow up, you come back and get something else to add on, because it's gonna blow up.
Yeah. Yeah. So speaking of obviously we gotta impress Simon Cowell more. So we're gonna help you guys out and with the votes and everything. You guys are the best. And before we get to the last two things, who do you like to watch now in the NFL running back wise?
You know what? I'm a fan to all running backs. Once you get to the NFL and you play in the NFL, you really don't have a favorite team anymore. You really don't have that favorite player. But I support all those young men that's out there still balling. But I kind of look at all the running backs because I have a son. Mm-hmm. My older son is a big time prospect in San Diego right now.
Wow. Okay.
So he's a running back. So I kind of pattern, him around all these different running backs. But obviously, coming from where I come from, our tutelage. He went to Fresno State camp 2 weekends ago and blew it up. Wow. One of the best running backs out there. He's getting highly recruited. Okay. So Demarion Wright, Morse High School. Okay. Morse High School, yeah, senior, going into his senior campaign. Wow. And that's all it's about. So my biggest running back, I is my son. I mean, if I can say it that way, I support him. I see him progress daily. And that's one thing that I love about him. He is very humble. And he asked me, Dad, who's your favorite running back? I'm like, man, you already know Bill Sayers, so that's my biggest project now. There's two running backs that I'm focused on. It's my son and Ulysses Diaz here at Roosevelt High School that I'm really looking to blow up.
Well, we would love to have your son on the show one day.
Yeah, sure. Just let me know. I'll get him ready, and once he make it, he'll be ready to go.
Yeah. So the last two things here. Our team is part of this foundation. It's called the Hugh Jackson Foundation. He's a former NFL coach, and now he's a coach for Grambling State University, HBCU school. And we're trying to help him prevent human trafficking, making sure the community stay safe, the kids stay safe. And it's still horrible out there with the human trafficking going on, and we need to stop that. And also the other things that are going on, which is crazy. But so we'll send you the foundation so you can check it out.
Okay, awesome. And then let Hugh know within about 10 years to hit me up if they're looking for a head coach in the that's my biggest dream. I left that out, but my biggest dream is to become a head coach in the HBCU.
Oh wow!
So I'm working hard to get there. So I'm building up that
okay, I'm gonna mention that to Hugh. I definitely will. Awesome. And then hopefully. And speaking of HBCU schools, what's like seeing obviously Hugh Deion Sanders and then George Eddie George with the HBCU school also. What do you like about that? Seeing former NFL players or to get to coach HBCU schools?
It's inspiration. I mean, it's total inspiration. I mean, now the makeup of D1 football. It's not as many African-American head coaches, right? Let's be real. But at the same time, there's a lot of carryover from that. So these guys said, you know what? I'm going to go back and give back to these HBCUs and make sure that they use their expertise to build them up. And that's why you see a lot of the top, recruits now coming into HBCUs. And the reason why they're doing that, because they understand it's the same level. It's just the same football. It's just the facilities may be better, you know, NCAA wise. I mean, as far as Division I, you know what I mean? But if you go there, you're going to get the same football. So Deion Sanders alone has changed the whole outlook on an HBCU, and Hugh Jackson is going to bring his knowledge and everything that he has. And Eddie George is just utilizing what God gave him too. So these are just things that inspires me to get to that level.
Yeah. So the last thing here, would you like to say anything to all the nurses, doctors, and all the essential workers right now?
I do. I want to say, keep doing what you're doing. We appreciate you. You know, there's not a day that goes by that we don't pray for you. We don't pray for your health. We pray for your strength. We pray for your mindset. We just thank you for going through a pandemic. You know, some of you all lost your lives, but, you know, just like the firefighters on 9/11, you guys are still fighting and you're still representing the goodness. So we love you and thank you.
Yeah, well said. And before we close this out, would you like to plug anything to our fans and where they can find you on social media?
Yeah, sure. I like to plug my Twitter. You can find me at DWTHARB Guru. All right. That's where you can find me on Twitter. And also you can find me on IG, on Instagram at Coach DWTHARB Guru. Coach Dwayne Wright.
There it is. That wraps up episode 1025 with former Fresno State NFL CFO running back Dwayne Wright, now a head coach at Fresno, and now he's a singer also with the Players Choir. Go check him out on America's Got Talent. They're getting ready for round 2 of that competition, and he's getting ready for another season as a head coach. Man, this was awesome. Truly an honor and to learn your story more. And Dwayne, thank you for joining our show today. It's truly an honor, and thank you to our fans for tuning in and asking great questions to him, to Dwayne today. We would love to have you back on the show at some point down the line so you can meet the full team. But man, keep up the great work with the Players Choir and as a head coach. Man, I can't wait to see what's going to happen next with you guys. And but keep up the great work and thank you again.
Thank you.